My grandma, Catherine Dozer, as some of you may already know, passed away earlier this year. She was an amazingly intelligent woman who was revered by all who knew her. Besides being a talented wordsmith, my grandma also baked award-winning apple pies on a nearly weekly basis throughout most of my childhood and young adult life. I'd like to share with you a few poems that my grandma wrote, as well as a personal story of mine about my grandparents, and the obituary that my Aunt Keke wrote in tribute to my wonderful grandma. So my grandma grew up during the Depression and was profoundly affected by her experiences during that time. Having grown up poor, hiding behind schoolroom doors in order to avoid the mocking comments from classmates about their meager lunches, the reality that was near starvation due to food rationing sort of flipped a switch in my grandma's head. And after that point, it was as if she had subconsciously decided that she would never go hungry again, so help her God. As a result, my grandparents had a literal smorgasbord of food in their house at all times. Besides the refrigerator that was in the kitchen, there were also 3 enormous refrigerators in the shop that my grandpa had, as well as 2 hide-a-body and here please size freezers that were perpetually all absolutely crammed full of food. And then besides the refrigerators in the storeroom, there was also what essentially amounted to a grocery store amount of non-perishable foods. Macaroni and cheese? We got it. Canned peaches? You betcha. Manila wafers? Oh yeah. They had everything. In my childhood, it seemed weird to me that other grandparents did not have this amount of food in their house. My grandpa used to say to anyone who came over, if you starve to death in this house, it's your own fault. And now that the multiple refrigerators are gone, along with the grocery store-like shelves of food, I wish that I had taken a picture in order to serve as to aid my memory in remembering how amazing my grandparents' enormous collection of food was. Besides having an endless amount of food, my grandparents also allowed their children to keep what essentially amounted to a zoo in their house. To delight her children, my grandma would often write poems about the family's pets, and what follows here are 3 of my favorite poems that my grandma wrote for her children. The first one is called A Scolding from a Hamster. A brown furry ball perched high on a mound shows that she's a hamster when nearby she hears a sound. A blinking, sleepy gaze asks, what's going on out there? You just disturbed my sleep again. I don't think that's fair. I never come beside your bed at night to make a dreadful clatter and make you jump up from your sleep to cry out, what's the matter? My dream was all of seeds and such delicious things to eat. Perhaps they'll all be gone when I go back and dreams repeat. When you are eating cones or cake and dreams of treats delicious, I hope to be a naughty thing with manners mean and vicious. But I'll just bide my time and wait till cares have laid you low, and when you're curled up in a ball, I'll nibble at your toe. The next one is called Ambitious Rabbit. I'll be your garden guardian and watch your plants for you. I'll scare away with thumps and bumps all those who harm would do. The carrots topped with feathery fern, the lettuce growing lush and green, the radishes like Christmas bulbs, the cabbage heads with satin sheen. Celery stalks stand guard with me, the corn silks at attention, squash vines creeping stealthily to squelch a thief's intention. Don't look too close, please don't come near, this bulge that swells my cheek. Your efforts raised a tasty crop, can I help it if I'm weak? And then the final one is called A Guinea Pig's Limited Vocabulary. When you converse, my dear, with me, I'd love to talk with you. But all my means, as you know well, are really just a few. You scan the skies and speak of stars, of planets cold and bleak. I scan the same and think my thoughts, but only can say, eek. You do your math while I sit by and watch you while you work. If you discuss a trapezoid, my comment must be, irk. Your classmates, when they welcome me, say precious, sweet, and cute. I want to chat and play with them. The sound comes out, hoot, hoot. There really is no better way for me to talk with you Then with my squeaks and chirps and such, it leaves me feeling blue. But if you're patient, watch and see, I'll bet that I can find a loving way to let you know what's really on my mind. And now, because I find it representative, I'd like to read for you the obituary that my Aunt KK wrote for my grandma. I really hope that you don't find it terribly sad. My grandma was a great woman, and she is missed, but she's not gone. I like to say that I carry her heart with me. How do I write my mother's obituary? How do I do her justice? Listen, she was the most intelligent, most eloquent, most virtuous woman that I have ever known. This woman, graceful, generous to a fault, suffered fools gladly, but never in her own family. Her wit was as sharp as a flint scalpel, and I remember many occasions where I felt as though I'd been shown my own liver. During a recent job of mine, teaching science, I reluctantly, fearful of adding to her confusion, asked Mama for a pronunciation on a Latin phrase. She answered without hesitation. Why was I so worried? She was still correcting my grammar this past summer, despite her dementia. Sic transit gloria mundi, thus passes the glory of the world. Catherine Ruth Dozer, Kitty, Chi-Chi Dumanche. After struggling with years of decline from heart problems, numerous infections, and annual surgeries for intestinal bleeding, our mother passed from this world on January 28, 2008, at age 89. She was a tough old bird. Born in Tecumseh, Michigan on November 21, 1918, to Mary and Emil Dumanche, Catherine grew up in Glidden, Wisconsin, attending school there, sharing top honors at graduation in the class of 1936 from Glidden High School with her sister, Mary Helen. Through tough times in the late 20s and 30s, Catherine's family grew to include brothers Jack and Bob Dumanche, and Jim Bonney and sister Gail Bonney. Catherine was well known in school for her scholastic excellence and determination, and that reputation continued her entire life. Her first career as a teacher was followed by a short but significant adventure to the Pacific Coast as a Boeing employee in 1939, where she met her future husband, Lawrence Dozer, at a swing shift dance. She was a hat-check girl, and he a hobby photographer, and it was love at first snapshot. When World War II ended and Boeing laid off all employees, Catherine returned to Morris to teach, and Lawrence wrote her every day for more than a year, promising his devotion. Won over, Catherine returned to Seattle, where they were married on October 10, 1946. She moved into Lawrence's home with his young son, Donald, adding 3 more children, Mary Kay, Kathy Jo, and Bonnie to the family. During the time they were building their family, Lawrence was working in his spare time to design and build a beautiful new house for the love of his life. And in 1959, the tribe moved into the home they would occupy for the next 48 years. In November 2007, they moved to their new home in Ocean Shores, Washington, fulfilling a lifelong dream of retirement at the beach. Sadly, Catherine was able to spend only 2 weeks there before entering the hospital in December. Words to describe Catherine Ruth Dozer: selfless, regal, hilariously funny, eloquent, scholarly, graceful, wildly talented, loving, intuitive, loyal, irreplaceable. And I would like to believe that one day someone will write something similar about me. So, thank you. It was a great class. I hope you guys enjoyed my stories.